Okay, so this tutorial is about surfacing 2. So we're going to take what we learned on the previous tutorial and take it to the next level. So as you already know, surfacing can be kind of complicated. It can be kind of tedious. So the more practice, the better. So this is why we're going to spend some time to practice surfacing a little bit more on this tire. Okay, so we're just going to take it one step at a time and complete this tutorial. Some of it is repetition, but there's still a lot of new stuff in this, so it's a good tutorial. And also, I'm going to show you how surfacing compares to solid modeling as far as the techniques. You'll notice that solid modeling is a lot easier. Like this, to model the same shapes, it will take twice more steps in surfacing than it does with solid modeling. But at the same time, surfacing gives you just a little bit more control over your model. It's very patchy, but you can achieve some really complicated shapes like what you see here. So this is why a lot of times for the injection molding industry, for casting and forging, a lot of times they tend to use surfacing, and this is why we're going to practice this a little bit more today. So to begin, we're going to start opening the start file, which is going to be a set of interconnected 3D sketches, okay? And we are asked to model the tire. So we have to use surfacing for this. And to complete this, we're going to turn on our surfacing tools. So here they are. All right. And I'm going to start by creating a revolve. Okay. And you can see what to revolve. I mean, if you look at the tutorial, it says, all right, revolve sketch 3, revolve sketch 1. So that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm just going to select it from the tree just because it's easier. And then I got to pick an axis of rotation. So I'm selecting the sketch here and the axis of rotation. This is what you get. Okay, but again, you got to use the surface revolve. Don't use the extrude revolve. So I'm going to click this again. I'm going to do the same thing for sketch number 3. And now we have the 2 revolves, and they're right here. And as you can see, the sketch is embedded. So you're not done until all the sketches are embedded. That's how you know you're done. So the next step is to create the threads. So to do that, let me first hide this revolve. I'm just going to hide it just because it gets in the way. And then I'm going to hit the extrude button, surface extrude. Again, it's not regular solid modeling. Don't use any of these tools for this. The purpose of this tutorial is to use the surfacing tools. So, extruded surface, that's the one. And then if we look at the tutorial, it says sketch 4 and sketch 2. So let's see, sketch 4, there it is. But we're going to have to extrude it in 2 directions. In one direction, it's going to be 7/8 or 0.875. But the other direction, see there's direction 2, you can snap that. It's going to be up to surface. Let's see. You see that? It extrudes until it touches the surface. And this feature is going to really help you a lot with surfaces. We're going to click OK. And guess what? We're going to do this tool again. And it's going to be on 2 and 4. Okay, so number 2. We're going to do the same thing on 2. 0.875 on one direction, and then on direction 2 is going to be up to surface, up to here. Okay? So that's our thread. So what you got to understand is our procedure, our approach. In regular solid modeling, the way you would achieve that is just to draw, 4 rectangles and extrude that, and you're done. But with surfacing, the approach is different. We're going to have to build the excess surface. We're going to have to trim. We're going to have to knit. We're going to have to do all these different steps just because it's a different technique. It's a different tool set. So we're now on step number 4, and we're going to trim the excess of our threads. So again, it gets kind of hard to find a tool in here, so I just like to type trim, surface trim. Again, it's got to say surface. Let's see, we're going to do a mutual on this surface. All right, it's going to be, okay, so first pick the 2 threads on this box, and then here keep selections, okay? You can do remove or keep, but we're going to use keep for this step. And then really all you got to do is just pick the surfaces that you want to keep. So it's going to delete anything that's not selected, which is good. So if I did this right, I should get I should get the threads that I'm looking for. Yeah, I kind of like that. Let's see what we get when we click OK. Yeah, that looks good. I like it. Okay. So that was step number 4. Now, we got to create the caps. And we're going to use the trim tool for that again. So to create the caps, I got to turn on that revolve that I did. Remember the one that I hid? I'm going to show it back on because that's what I'm going to use to trim the excess of that. And I'm going to fire up the trim tool again. And I'm going to use a mutual. But this time I'm going to say remove selections. See, I'm trying to show you both options to see how that works. So this time I'm going to remove selection. So let's give that a shot. I'm going to select this, this, and that. And then I'm going to click this box, hit remove, and then just delete the excess. You see? Just delete it. And then when you click OK, there it is. Here are the threads. Okay? Okay, but this wheel really isn't much with just one set of threads, so that's where step number 5 comes in. We gotta pattern it. So we're gonna use a circle pattern for this. 26 instances equally spaced. So let's see if we can pull that off. It's gonna be circle pattern. Circular pattern, that works for me. Then it says where do you want to pattern about, so we gotta say this axis, and then that's the thing, you gotta pick the bodies for this. See, it's bodies, it's not features. If it was solid modeling, you pick features, but if it's surfaces, you gotta pick bodies. And then we're gonna pick these 4 threads, and then we set 28 instances equally spaced about this axis. He's giving me a bit of a hard time. Let's see if there's something easier we can pick. Axis 1. Let's pick that. There you go. Okay. So now it's doing a pattern. Let's see if it. Oh, 26 instances. Okay, 26 equally spaced. All right, that looks good. Okay, click OK, and there's the thread for the tire. So the next step is going to be adding a little bit more realism to the tire by adding a .236 fillet on the inside and outside, just like that. This is so the rim can slide in. So we're going to add one here, .236, and we're going to add it one here and one there. We're going to click OK. Okay, so now we're ready to build the rim, and the rim is really going to be another revolve on sketch 6 and 7. So we're going to use the revolve tool on sketch 6 and on this axis. And if you hit enter, you can repeat last command, but you don't have to use that if you don't want to. Sketch 7 on this axis. Okay, so just 2 revolves. So now we're going to start building the bolt holes on this surface. And again, if you remember in solid modeling, the way you do that is just to do a sketch and extrude. But in surfacing, we are going to use the split and delete technique. Okay, so if you remember, you got to split the surface with this sketch, cut the holes, and then you can use the rule tool to extrude the edge. So let's give that a shot. Okay, it's called split and delete. I even wonder if they actually have it here. So this is the sketch that's going to get projected onto this surface. So let's see what happens when we click that. Boom, look at that. We get those little holes, circles, that we can now delete. And this is the delete tool, delete face. So that's what I mean by delete, split, and delete. This is something you do very frequently in surfaces. Don't delete in patches, just regular delete. Alright, now we're going to rule the edge. Okay? If you remember the rule tool, it's kind of like the extrude tool, but it lets you extrude an edge. The extrude tool only lets you extrude a sketch. The rule tool lets you extrude an edge. So we're going to do that and extrude 0.158. So let's see what we get when we do that. It's this tool. I think it's supposed to be normal 2. Normal 2. And we're going to switch the direction with this button. 0.158. Okay, so that's simple. Normal to surface, 0.158, and the 5 edges. Ooh, alright, it gives us an error. It's because we have this trim and knit feature on. Let's turn those off. Let's see what it says here. Okay, it just says to turn off the trim and knit. So let's see what happens if we do that. Okay, that looks better. So now we can knit as a separate step. Okay, so sometimes that's what you gotta do to get the results that you want. We're gonna just knit these two together. Let's see, knitting is this one. Yeah, knit. Reason we have to knit is because I want to put a fillet on that edge, and I can only do that if the surfaces are knit. And the way I know that they're knit is when this edge becomes black. Right now it's blue. Okay, it's a blue edge like this. It means the edges are not attached. So I'm gonna knit in so they turn black. And I believe I should turn this off, the gap control. Yeah, turn off the gap control. Otherwise it might give you some errors. Okay, there. See how this edge is black now? That means it's connected. So now I can add a fillet. Okay. Add a fillet to connect it. And the fillet's supposed to be 0.236. 0.236, so we're good. Okay. So as you can see, it takes a couple steps to achieve the same results as solid modeling. What I'm going to do now is do the same split and delete on the outermost circles. So if you remember, we're going to do split. Yeah, I mean, split line. Let's see here. We're going to select the last sketch. Select this surface, projection, click OK, and then we're going to start deleting. Alright, so just going to select all these. And hit delete. Delete. So that looks pretty good. And what else? Okay, we're gonna thicken this now. All right, thicken, just to add it some meat to it. Click OK, and there you have it. So there's the rim. Okay, that's how it's done in surfacing. Okay, so this took about, let's just study the rim for a second. It took about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. About 10 steps. So now we're gonna model the same thing using solid modeling. So 10 steps for surfacing. Let's see how many steps it takes to do the same thing. So instead of using these tools, I'm gonna use these tools. Okay, so let's see, revolve. We started with a revolve, right? And let's see, 6 on this. So there's 1. And then we're gonna use the revolve again on 7. Alright. Now, to create the bolt holes, I'm gonna use the extrude. Well, actually, I'll tell you what. I'll use the extrude tool on 8, and I'm gonna offset it on this surface. It's actually gonna be an offset from surface on here. I have really bad temporary memory. It's 0.28, 158. All right, very bad short-term memory. 158. It's gonna be the other. It's gonna be the other way. So there's that, and then this was just an extruded cut. So it's gonna be sketch 10 through all. Okay, so we get the basics. Now we had a fillet too, right? We got a fillet over here. 158. Okay. And I'm gonna click OK. Looks good. And then finally we're gonna use the shell tool to create that thickness. So shell tool can be kind of interesting. You have to be nice if, okay, 0.01. Sometimes it glitches if there's an intersecting surface. Let's just keep it really low just to see what we got. But we gotta knock out these surfaces for this to work. Okay, you gotta knock those out. Same with this, and then it's gonna punch out through here. see if we can make this, yeah. Okay, so there's the thickness. But it's the same effect. I know my thickness is kind of thin. I'd have to play around with it and make it thicker, but the thickness is the exact same as what I had on my, as far as the shape, it's the same as what I had on my surfacing. But let's see how many steps it took. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So surfacing took 10 steps. Solid modeling took 6 steps to get the exact same results. So as you can see, solid modeling is a lot more efficient because it does the knitting for you. It does the split and deleting for you. It does all of that. But at the same time, surfacing can really let you create a little patch of material here and then curve it and then attach it to this. Gives you a lot of really good detail. It's very patchy. It's like working with cloth. You can modify the surface any way you like. So a couple other things you might want to know on surfacing is that one way you can tell you have a surface is if you do a section view. If you see it kind of like hollow like this, where you see zero thickness geometry, you see the zero thickness geometry, that means it's a surface. If you see it solid like this, it means it's a solid model. So it's an easy way to tell between the two geometries, between the two file types, the two model types, by just doing a cross section. And then also with surfaces comes a lot of curvature. So it usually comes with these evaluation tools. Okay, they're found on the evaluate. So you get zebra stripes, curvature, and really it's just an easy way to tell the curvature of your object. Actually, they use these zebra stripes in the auto industry. They shoot a beam of light that looks like zebra stripes, and you can easily see curvature or a dent on the surface of a car hood or a door. So you can turn that on in SolidWorks and kind of get an idea of your curvature. Okay, so same idea with this other tool. The draft analysis and the undercut analysis we're going to talk about when we go over molds and cores and cavities. But other than that, that's the end of this tutorial. And again, really the idea is to practice surfacing a little bit more and understand how to get good at it.